Australian captain Stephen Waugh, 119 tests. He comes to the wicket just before lunch. Pitched up and driven straight back by Stephen Waugh. He loves half volleys, Steve Waugh.
Certainly is if he can build a partnership at the same time, which he and Mark Waugh are doing. 2 slips in the gully. Lovely shot 4. Simple as that. That's the Steve Waugh punch to mid-off. So a very good over, wasted in the end with the last ball going for 4. It's 142 for 3. There's the red handkerchief. It's been there for a long time, so I hope it gets into the dry cleaners occasionally. And slaps it through the offside. So Steve Waugh's last 2 scoring shots, even though he's not in great touch, have been boundaries.
At least 2 before tea time. That's 4. What a glorious shot. Pitched up outside the off stump, inviting the drive. Steve Waugh didn't disappoint.
Oh, that's a fine shot by Steve Waugh. The last ball of Guy Whittle's first over after tea. He bowls short and it's cut away. Australia 185 for 4. And how often one sees that, a drop catch followed by a fine shot from the batsman. Steve Waugh hitting this one through extra cover for 4.
Well, superb timing from the Australian captain. Wasn't really a half volley, genuine half volley. Just played through the line and he knew that that was 4 runs from the moment it left the bat. Didn't even bother to run.
There he gets a short ball, which he deals with very severely. Australia 203 for 4. Look at the way he's dealt with that. A little bit of width still, and that's well in front of square. Steve Waugh moving to 50, and Australia 209 for 4.
Floated that one up as well, but just that little bit too much. Steve Waugh said thank you very, very much. I'll have 4 runs there. Beautiful cover-driven boundary to bring up his 50. Excuse me, the 50 partnership, I should say. He was 50 some time ago, wasn't he? 51, in fact, the partnership now between Steve Waugh and Ricky Ponting. And 4 more.
Another beautiful shot from Steve Waugh. An action replay of the previous delivery. Down the wicket, uses his feet beautifully and just puts it straight in the gap, and Henry Olonga has no chance of cutting that off. So Steve Waugh moves to 61, Ricky Ponting on 23.
Once again, Steve Waugh using his feet, and he's beaten the field on the onside this time through wide mid-on. 4 more runs, and that is just magnificent batting. Stephen Waugh down the wicket to the pitch of the ball, now hitting on the onside.
Trevor Gripper a little afraid of putting it on the offside this time. Errs to the leg, and
so Alistair Campbell, if he does take this second new ball, he's got to ask, oh, that should have been stopped. Another misfield. There's been a few runs go through the fieldsman's fingers today. That's 4 to finish the over. 245 for 4.
3 good partnerships for Australia. 88, 78 and 79. Steve Waugh on strike. And he hasn't had much of it in the last few moments, but he makes up for it with a boundary. So he goes along to 79.
Short outside the off stump and cut away. Steve Waugh loves playing the cut shot. Anything off the back foot, outside off stump, he'll back foot drive or he'll play the cut shot. Two slips but no gully. I don't know that I'd be too happy with that as a bowler. That ball's pitched up. Well, this is the inconsistent length and line we've seen from Guy Whittle all day. Bowled short outside the off stump to Steve Waugh, and that was cut away for 4. Then he over pitches and gets driven.
This really is bread and butter for a decent player. And all Waugh has to do is make sure his weight's over the ball, go through the line, and it's 4 runs straight away.
4 runs, and it takes Steve Waugh to 88. 15 boundaries, so 60 runs of those 88 in boundaries. And there'll be a couple more there behind square leg. But he's come back into the team, now the Australian captain, and in the last 6 or 7 years has really caused problems right around the world. Dropped! Well, he was dropped yesterday on 39 and now dropped again, and that was a simple catch at backward point. And there it is. That's 4, square cut away. He's got a lot of runs off that shot in this innings. That brings up his 100. 102 for Stephen Waugh. He really has played beautifully. But against that, you've got to say the Zimbabweans shouldn't have seen that much of him. They dropped him twice, but that's not his fault. The batsman of his composure, he just takes full advantage of second chances. Great innings by the captain. And an easy single.
Well, Steve Waugh really an example to any young cricketers watching this match in the ground or on television. Wasn't in great nick when he came to the wicket yesterday, but he grafted hard. Been let off twice, as Carl says, by the Zimbabweans. But really, what courage and determination.
For the first time playing a test match.
And that's 4. And the drop catches continue to cause some problems for Zimbabwe. Every time Steve Waugh hits the ball, I think in, and particularly if it goes to the boundary.
Deuce the mistake.
Well, that's going to run all the way to the boundary, and Brian Strang bowling wide of the crease, offering some width to Steve Waugh.
So there it is. Stephen Waugh takes 2 runs, and that brings up his 150. Back to 151 now. What a marvellous innings from Stephen Waugh.
So Steve Waugh, 151 not out, 18 boundaries in that total, 347 deliveries he's faced. Steve Waugh has made 10 scores of 150 in test matches. That's a fabulous record.
And Steve Waugh not out on 151. What a great knock.